you'll obviously find it. You find YouTube videos being created by a lot of people, and they can follow it across. It's like that. It's about that passion, you know.
I mean, you're essentially holding your own system. You're not actually creating an exploit or, I mean, I can understand your scenario where you are into a corporate network and trying to bypass the security.
Okay.
In that case, you are anyways, your systems are controlled by your IT system, IT organization.
So this security is laid down by the IT team itself, right? What I'm trying to do is bypass it. That's what I'm trying to do.
Take a point that, instead of employee trying to bypass your IT.
What you're saying that this is not a remote attack. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, it's not a remote attack.
So in the case of WannaCry, what it was?
It was, right?
What was the reason for it? It was an exploit, right? What was the reason they didn't patch it? So there's an exploit for WannaCry also.
See, again, totally separate scenarios. Okay? Totally separate versions of Windows. I mean, versions of Windows.
Okay.
Okay. So you are into an enterprise environment where you have a team dedicated for managing the security of it. How many people actually get to installing these kind of things on their own PCs?
They should not be installing it on their machines. Why? Can you tell me the reason why? What will come in between? Yes, who will stop them from downloading these files?
IT policy, right?
Not the policy. It will be a firewall.
Fair enough, whatever. That is part of their IT administration policy.
So what are we concluding here? I'm not understanding the entire discussion. Tell me that.
So my point is that running pirated version of Windows has its own problems.
Right?
Okay. People who are running it know that, or they should know that.
Okay. The only reason of displaying these things to you is to understand why the security patches are important. That is what the title I gave to it. Vulnerability Management. It's like that. So it's just a way of. But how you tell someone understanding the risk? If you talk about.
Let me jump into this discussion because I can see the point of it too. I've been in this site for a long time, and on almost every penetration test, we never have to use zero-day exploits. The reason is lack of vulnerability management in all organizations. It could be Boeing or it could be your mom and pop shop. It's a fundamental IT problem. You will always have some system that is vulnerable, which can be exploited for any issue. It's just not one exploit, there are hundreds of others. And there are exploits that don't even require exploits. So, point is, at minimum, organizations should do vulnerability management. Okay, so they are not vulnerable to something like one attack.
So right now again I'm in user 1 and again I have to escalate my privilege. I have downloaded the exploit which is actually right here which you can check out 39719. So these instructions actually come with the exploit that what you need to do. I'm just copy pasting this. I need to change the name of it. Let me go to the location where it's there. this is our exploit, which is actually a PS1. So I'm importing that module inside the PowerShell. And this is the function I need to execute. This is invoke ms16.022, which is the actual vulnerability. Now there is one condition with it. I found many people testing this in the virtual machine and getting some errors, and they say that the privilege is not escalated. The condition here is your CPU should be supporting at least 2 cores. So what happens is when you actually install a virtual machine, by default, only 1 core of CPU is actually given to that virtual machine. So in that scenario, you'll be getting certain errors. So if you're trying to redo this at home in the virtual machine, make sure you're giving 2 cores to your virtual machine. That is the condition. Again, the same scenario, this is what? A system shell. So I can actually give the same command which I gave. So net user test7. And you can see again, it's allowing me to actually change the password for test7. So my entire complete point is, if the system is not being patched, I can again target a Windows 10 system to actually escalate my privilege. Once I become an administrator, what I do is again a separate scenario, whatever strategy you want to take. The reason is the privilege being escalated is the security patches are not installed in the system. Any questions on this? Clear? I'll be sharing that text document so that you can actually refer that. So in 2012, I saw a lot of problems for people running RDP services. You know what RDP is? Any idea? Remote Desktop Protocol. It's a service actually which runs on a port 3389. And many organizations actually allowed that port on the firewall. So I can actually RDP over the web, over the internet on port number 3389, and would actually provide me access. So this came in the year 2012, the vulnerability. The number was MS12020. What I'm doing is I'm actually turning on, let me go back to the admin. Just to showcase 2 simple denial of service vulnerability and what is the cause of it and what is the impact of it on the Windows systems. And this was true for Windows Server 2003, Windows 7 systems, Windows Server 2008, and many people were using Windows Server 2008 in the year 2012. So I'm actually turning on the RDP service, which you can see right here, which says remote desktop. So it says allow connections from computer running external. So I click the OK button and I close it. Now this is my attacker system, which is Kali. Many of you may have used it, may not have used it. Well, this is a Linux security distribution, which is used by many penetration testers across the globe for doing penetration testing. So Nmap is nothing but a port scanner, and I'm just simply asking Nmap, can you tell me whether a port is open or closed? Okay, so let me just give the IP for it. And you can see the port is actually open. 3389 is actually open. It also has a remote desktop client. I think it's our desktop. And if I try it out, I try it from a Windows 10 system. So it's asking for my credentials. So RDP service is actually running. Okay. So MSF stands for Metasploit Framework, and again, it's a collection of exploits written in Ruby, actually. So you can actually define a remote host IP address, remote port on which you want to actually deliver the exploit in the payload. So ultimately, the result of the exploit should be the machine should crash with a BSOD. Have you seen the blue screen of death that comes in Windows? Suddenly your computer crashes into a blue screen. The impact was that, actually. So all the attacker had to do in the year 2012 is they had a target file which had a list of IP addresses. They had this exploit. They used to pick each IP and they used to exploit. And all the systems used to shut down with a blue skin. The only problem, because this port again was exposed on the internet through the firewall, they were allowing connections. And the main reason, what is the main reason for exploiting? Security patches were not installed.
There is a flip side to this also. You can't always install patches. What's your advice?
You're talking about dependencies in the environment or work around it?
Oftentimes, businesses not install patches simply because they don't want the IT system to serve. Because it is too much effort.
I have seen that in many environments where Java is being used. They're not able to upgrade Java because the application stops working. In that scenario, we have to understand what others. Yeah. So we have to understand what other complexity controls you have in your environment. How you can actually configure.
So it's not an easy problem.
It's actually what it is. But you have to understand the risk. If the risk is critical and it's something, let's say, like WannaCry, and they are denying that we won't be able to patch.
What I'm trying to ask is, like, what would be the compensation?
Compensation controls can be at many places. For example, if you say that systems are internal, they're not connected to the internet. If the systems actually are connected to the internet, but you're actually blocking that port with the exploit is targeting, that can be one. If your UTM actually is having a gateway antivirus, very sufficient signature to detect the exploit, and you will be only able to reach that conclusion if you try that out. Only then you'll be able to have a belief that okay, the vulnerability is there, but it's not getting past that. So what we did, we actually had a Windows 7 system, which was a valid target for WannaCry. First, what we did is, without the endpoint, we ran the payload, it executed well. Then we took the test laptop aside, only installed the Kaspersky endpoint. We didn't want the traffic to flow through the solid code UTM that we have. So Kaspersky was able to stop it. So I had a belief that even though that system is vulnerable, only the endpoint is running, still it's able to stop it. So in that scenario, we were prepared for that. So that is something which you can try.
Things like antivirus, then restrictive firewall rules.
Right. Those are the things that will help you to do. Yeah. So even though internal problems are not solved, having these devices at the perimeter will actually. But I always make sure that the vendors give me on email saying that they have the signature. Otherwise, just by saying it on the call or something like that doesn't help. There are certain vendors that don't have signature, but they just say, okay, you are protected, you are up to date, don't worry. Something in writing is always good. Exploits for different environments and variants. So I can do a port scan with this. I can actually try to brute force the FTP server credentials or SMTP server credentials. You know what a brute force attack is? Trying different strings as a password, right? So this is the entire path which I got. So it's an auxiliary derived service. This is for Windows operating system. For the service RDP, this is the unique vulnerability it's targeting. So copy the path. Okay. For configuration, I can simply configure the target IP address, which is the R host value. Now in this case, our target IP is the Windows 7 system. Now all you have to do is type exploit and press enter. Now this will be quick, so let me just quickly come here. Now sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending upon the situation. System up and running, right? on the attacker system. I press enter, and you can see it ends up in blue screen. If I see MS12020 in my vulnerability reports for a Windows system, I actually recommend my IT team to patch it quickly, especially if it's actually allowed on the firewall. So it should not be. So imagine Windows Server hosting your mail services, web services. You may be running, let's say, a database. Everything comes down for a halt. Why somebody exploited a denial of service vulnerability? A more recent one was for the IIS. Okay, number is MS15034. You can write it down. I'm not sure IIS is running here, but let me just configure that. Again, if you're trying this at a home, make sure you don't disable your antivirus endpoint and then try it out. Always try this on a virtual machine. I never do this in college. Patches work in. So it depends. If you actually are owning that platform, if you are running a virtual machine in AWS cloud, it's your responsibility to actually patch it. Yeah. 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 See, that comes later for protecting that, as I talked about. See, if the vulnerability is not patched, for example, you have an application vulnerable to SQL injection. You're not actually patching it in the application, and somebody is trying to attack. So even though the application is vulnerable, the application firewall will come into picture. It will try to stop that attack, even though the application is vulnerable. But the problem hasn't fixed yet. You haven't fixed the application. You're relying on the WAF for controlling that attack, which is a very bad practice. It's like that. I get that from my developers also. They say we have a WAF in my environment, but still they don't try to fix the actual vulnerability which is lying in the code. And then you have to fix it basically. That is the only way of stopping it. Yeah. You have see vulnerability scanning is a continuous process. You have to reach a conclusion saying that okay, now my systems are in the healthy state. Because vulnerabilities are every Tuesday Microsoft releases patches. Tuesday, Thursday, once you do vulnerability scanning, you'll come to know what vulnerabilities have come up and what patches are missing. That is the only way. And then your other solutions are basically your other associates. Application firewall, IDS, IPS, gateway antivirus. All these things will come into picture. But if you can patch it to the latest update, that is the secure state you have bring the system into.
Is coming, it will be having some similarities from the previous signatures. So we can clean the data from the old signatures and we can try to detect or the new signature. Because it will show some of the similarity from from the conversation.
Normal activity, yes. Yeah. Give me a minute.
There are many recent competitions going on. Like 80, 99 data sets. Published with many data sets.
Okay.
Are used for training.
Okay.
Yeah, for instance, right now.
Okay.
How efficient the model. Conclusion matrix.
Even for the ransomware part, you have seen this feature of behavioral analysis. A lot of where we don't have the signature for it, but when the executable will execute and will make changes in the process, in the memory will be able to detect the behavior and will be able to stop it. This is something which one free variant which you may have used is ransom free. Ransom free comes for free, and it can run along with your endpoint, and it can detect a lot of ransomware variants. So when it executes, it will give you a warning that it's trying to encrypt the files of your hard disk. Now, if you're actually encrypting the file, then it's a valid process. If you're not and some ransomware has come in your system, you can simply kill that process and the infection should stop. So, again, you should be running the latest version of that product. If you have not updated that and something new came up, and what if it doesn't understand that behavior, it doesn't have that uh, instructions for it. So again, it's a problem. Anybody who wants to download the ransomware can go to this URL. And I'm not joking. It actually has WannaCry payloads there. WannaCry, Pete, a lot of other ransomware you see. So you try this in the college and something happened, I'm not responsible. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't go here. And so my IS service should be up and running. Just confirm that. So you can see MS15034, and at the end, what the description is for denial of service. So again, using the same concept, I'm actually using this exploit and then configuring it with show options. It's asking for an IP address and it's targeting port number which runs your HTTP service. Simply giving the IP Windows 7 up and running before the exploit executes. We execute the exploit, we go back. So doesn't happen, but again the scenario was to see a blue skin up there. Maybe due to some reason. Understood the picture of it? Okay. So for understanding vulnerability management or for understanding whether the system is vulnerable or not, usually organizations use a vulnerability scan. So you may come across Enable Nessus, you may come across Collar Guard, which is again a good product. So let's talk about Nessus for a few minutes. Nessus, if you want for your home, you can actually go to Google. You can type Nessus home feed. Once you type Nessus home feed, just follow the link, the first link. So even for the free variant, which actually can be used in a home environment, you need an activation code. So you can simply fill up the form quickly. Click on register button to get the code. Click on download button to get to the executable. And it runs on different operating systems. If you have a Linux, it runs. If you have a Mac, it runs. If you have Windows, it runs. Go to Microsoft Windows, depending upon you're running 32-bit or 64-bit, you can download the executable and install it. Installation will take some time. It won't happen in 2 minutes because it downloads a lot of plugins from the server. Now it comes in different variants. You have a Nessus Home, which is free. It doesn't has a lot of add-ons, but it can be used in a home environment or a very small office environment. You have Nessus Professional, which will cost you about $2,000, which can be installed on a laptop. So I can actually be in a LAN network. Employees are actually traveling pan-India. So I can take a license of Nessus Cloud, let's say for 128 hosts. Let's say, and I can install agents on those 100 employee laptops. Now they can be anywhere in actually install Nessus Manager on premise, and that agent will talk to Nessus Manager, and you'll be able to vulnerability scan. So that agent needs to be configured a single time, and then you can keep on doing the scanning activity. To display how the output looks like, what I'm trying to do is, let me start a vulnerable VM. VM is not moving. Was the exploit successful? I'm not able to move my mouse here. Maybe it got crashed. So if you have known Backtrack for a long time, this is an older version of Backtrack before Kali, right? So once you install Nessus, you can actually access this. So that's Nessus Professional. In your case, it will have Nessus Home. Okay. And if you have a valid license of Nessus Cloud, you can actually go to cloud.enable.com and this is the URL, cloud.enable.com. Using here, you can actually manage your agents, your scanners, and so quickly, I am starting my SSH service. Okay, so service SSH start. Creating keys. And changing the root password. I just started the SSH service. And we need the IP address for the scanning purpose. The IP address in this case is 192.168.248.130. So I have to tell Nessus, this IP is reachable. Please go there, log in with root credentials, username so and so, password so and so, and tell me whether the system is vulnerable, yes or no. So let me log into my Nessus. To scan a Windows system takes time. Okay, so if you're doing this at home, give it like 25 to 35 minutes because it tries to access your registry, it tries to access every single application installed on your system and to compare that with latest security patches. If you're running VLC, which is vulnerable, it will tell you about that. If you're running Firefox, which is vulnerable, if you're running Adobe Reader, which is vulnerable, it will tell you about that. So all the applications installed in your Windows system, it will enumerate the security patches for it and it will give you the report. So I'm going in new scan, and if you are using Nessus Home, then a lot of other add-ons will not be available, such as if I come down, Shellshock is there, obviously. Do you see this internal PCI network scan policy? But this is not available in Nessus Home. I'm just saying it off. This is where you have to specify the target IP address. So 192.168, it was 130, right? Now, if you are doing this with a Windows system, all you have to do is go to Windows, give your username, password, it will start scanning that. Currently, since I'm a Linux system, we are scanning a Linux system. I'm going to SSH. Give me a second. I'm running this on a VM machine, so I need to make one change. Good now. You gave me 10 minutes, it's 10% now. It's still at 0%, 2%, but you can see the number of vulnerabilities is trying to enumerate. So 12 critical, 26 high, 43 medium. Let's keep on going. So if in your case you scan your own laptop and this is the output, make sure you patch it. Or you upgrade your Windows to a newer variant. Right? Unicorn can actually help you create executable which can work as a Trojan, which can be used, to compromise someone by bypassing the endpoint solution. So the instructions are very simple. I'm just simply copying. Just see my IP address. It's 128. It's a Python script. I'm simply copying the instructions which is here. And just changing. It's 128, right? So it generates the payload for you. I'll upload that bat file just to check how many endpoints detected as a malware. So it says, PowerShell attack. I have created this file, and this is how it looks. It's encoded. Okay. To actually convert this into a bat file, what I'll do is nano PowerShell attack, which is a text editor. This is the entire script, which is encoded. All you have to do to convert this into a bat file is add @ before the payload. Okay. Press Ctrl O, Ctrl X, save the file. I'm just renaming this as, let's say, mypower.bat. Now the payload is ready. Mypower.bat. Let's upload this just to check the output. So anybody who executes the .bat file connects to me if I'm listening on port number 440. The only thing the attacker will do is it will start a listener on that port, and when the bat file executes, the connection will be sent to him. So going back again to no distribute.